happy, the happiest of new days. So this video correlates with the opening theme song, Turn It Off, Paramore. If you ever listen to Paramore, go check them out after this video. Okay. This video, for me, how I interpreted, was more in this essence of ego. Turning off your ego, right? I think this buzzword of ego death, kill your ego, get rid of it, throw it away, put it in the trash, put it down the garbage disposal is not constructive, to say the least, right? Because I think ego is integral to our living, right? And I think our survival is a part of living, but obviously we've been coerced to only surviving. Survival mode, surviving. Let me just get to the next day. We've been coerced to only synonymate an upgraded life is when you're not in survival mode. When in actuality, you can be living no matter what tax bracket you're at. But it's one thing to say that. So let me break it down, right? With the onus of the song Turning It Off, when I say turning off, it's the ability to turn off your ego. But what is your ego, right? I wrote down some definition. Let me show y'all what I got. You probably can't see a damn thing, but it's okay because I'm going to read out the knowledge. So it's a white sheet of paper to y'all, but it is written with energy to me. So this one, I wrote down the definition of what ego says. When I looked up, this is what the definition of ego, right? The ego, the self, distinct from the world or other selves. Okay, sounds pretty individualized, right? An exaggerated self-importance or conceit. So I think it's two sides. I think ego in an overabundance is arrogance. Ego in a balanced ego is confidence, right? So I don't want to throw the whole, what do they say, baby out with the bathwater? I don't know why they say that. Where did that come from? I don't know. But not to say I want to throw the whole ego out, because we have it for a reason. I think, just look to nature. Everything has an egoic system in a way. Now, humans, because of logic is intertwined with our ego, it just opens up a whole nother kaleidoscope of ways to exploit that in other people and themselves, greed, lust, all the 7 deadly sins. That becomes a kaleidoscope and a prism to where all the other low vibrational entities of what ego can reside in. But there are also high vibrational points of ego. Confidence, assertiveness, self-assuredness. You know, I think it's not fair to just say, oh, fuck it, ego. That means you're like, no, bro. I think ego is one, it what makes us human. Right? It what makes us human. The ego is what differentiates us humans from gods. Right, and it's a lot of nuance in that, but I'm not going to go too in depth in that. But it is important to recognize that you have one. And it be the main motherfuckers that have a big ego talking about that they got rid of it. What? You did not get rid of your ego. That is you. It is what makes you human. Now to work with it, now to understand it, now to understand it, and to coerce it and control it, it's a different thing. But to say you got rid of it, you don't have one anymore, I'm just a free being with no ego, that's your ego talking, right? So let me go on to the next point that I had on these cards. Let me be organized with the videos. Hold on. So this is another thing I wanted to say, right? Kind of like what I said in the beginning. It's not necessarily turning off your ego. It's having the ability to know when to turn it on and know when to turn it off, or just have an ability to interact with it, right? In that type of way. Most people think their ego is a part of them. It is them. And just saying ego is a very vague term, right? Because some people's ego could be working with them. A lot of people's egos are working against them. Ego is, think about it, is like a small child, like a parasite, right? Like a bully in a way. It doesn't want to be pressed. It doesn't want to be seen, but it feels all big and bad behind its cover, right? But in actuality, it's just like a small, puny little, it's a scared child. It's scared. It's a dog in the corner, right? But in many ways, How we are with like bugs. Imagine if you see a spider, how they tell you, oh, the spider's more scared of you than you are the spider. That's how I feel like how ego is, right? We see ego, it looks intimidating. It looks like it hurt us, and it could hurt us if we got close enough. It could. But at the same time, who is the person observing it? Who is the person that has been mandated to control it, to maintain it? You. I think a lot of people don't take a step back and be like, bro, who is the me that is ordaining these orders? Why am I taking prescriptions and orders from somebody that I don't even want to listen to? When I say somebody, it's not a person. You can say a being, an energy, entity, whatever. How many times are we faced with a dichotomy, with a contrast about what is best for us? Because we know oftentimes what is best for our higher selves. And what do we want to do? A lot of times what we want is of ego, because our ego is built off of physical senses. That's how it works. It works off of our eyes, off of our taste, off of our touches, off of our senses, off of our smell. It is the physical tether to this physical world, right? When you go outside of your ego, you have your, for lack of better words, your higher self. The one that is not tethered to this physical world. But in many ways, it's paradoxical. In many ways, you're kind of in the... Depending on who your self puts in control, you're in the authority of either your ego or your higher self, right? But I want people to remember that it is you that has that choice. It is you. You have the choice to allow your ego to rule or to allow your higher self to rule. And that's not to say your higher self is going to be absolved of ego. You know, ruling doesn't mean that you don't listen to anybody. That's a dictatorship. When you're governing yourself, it is very important. And all of my videos are really about self, you, because it all comes back to self, right? I cannot look at the whole and be like, okay, the whole, you need to change and be this cooperative point. Like, unless you're a parasite, unless you are a malignant force, you cannot just shape, form, and just be different. Us humans, we need to recognize that we are individuals. We are different. But many of us, we have the same objective in many ways. A lot of us, we want peace. We want harmony. We want to be able to spend more time with our family. We want love. That is a harmonic and across the board majority feel for most people. That's what most people want, right? And obviously there are outliers, and we've been letting the outliers rule this shit. The people that want to let the world burn because they like the fire of it. Obviously, if you were sentenced to hell, why wouldn't you want to take more people with you? Wouldn't it make you feel better? Oh, it's not just me. How many times do we use that as an excuse for ourselves in this daily life? It wasn't just me that failed the test. They did too. So it's a normal thing. Don't you think that type of logic extends to all this in general? Well, shit, I'm going to hell too. Might as well take y'all too. Now, I'm not saying I believe in hell, but I definitely believe in there being low vibrational cycles that we can be ordained to be trapped into, or we are coerced into being trapped into. And I feel like this 3D space, this physical, is where we are oftentimes coerced into following our 3D, our physical, our carnal desires, and that type of nature. I definitely know that and believe that we are oftentimes coerced. Not forced, coerced. It's a little different. It's a tiny different, but it's a little different, right? It's almost like sheep to a slaughter. I mean, not sheep to a gate, to a herd, right? You're not being forced in there, but you're almost being corralled in there, right? And that extends to everything when I say to turn it off. In the sense of you don't have to be controlled by your ego, by any external forces. Especially if you don't want to be. The difference lies in feeling like if you have an option. That is very important. And I'm here to let people know that you have an option. You always have an option. Right? And then it's a very nuanced way of talking about things, because while you have the option, you also have, within that option, you have the choice between seeing it as I have to do this or I get to do this. I have to make a choice. You see how it brings some type of dread, low vibration still, even when you are choosing something. Or I have to make this option. I have to choose the good. I have to be a better person. No, you don't have to do anything. You get to be a better person. You get to make a choice. You get to see the options and you get to choose. You see how it's different? It's like when you get to, it's like you have no choice but to be grateful. Because the other option is you didn't get to take a choice. It was chosen for you. And it's easy to see when you have a choice. It's hard to reconcile and to feel the people that don't have a choice. To empathize, to sympathize. I'm still trying to understand the difference between empathy and sympathy. I don't really understand the difference, but we're growing. Maybe one of you guys can comment down what the difference is to you between empathy and sympathy, because I really don't know the difference. In my head, it's all, are you able to connect with somebody, right? Are you able to see where they're coming from and resonate with them? But I think symphony is symphony. I don't fucking know. I just categorize it as the ability to connect with your fellow man, with your fellow human. Obviously, it's more in depth to that. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I'm sure it's a more deeper distinction between the two. Either way, a lot of people don't fucking carry it in their hearts. And the reason why I say it all comes back to self is because a lot of people don't carry it for themselves. A lot of people aren't able to empathize and sympathize with themselves. They don't love themselves. I'm talking to you right now. Whoever is listening to this, whoever this video is meant to come by. Do you accept yourself? Or are there many things that you regret and are shameful and guiltful for? You wish you could change? I think if you're a normal person, most people say yes. There's some things I would like to change. Maybe not regretful. Regret is like a heavy word. But there's many things that with 2020 hindsight, I may have made a different choice. But even with that, it's even a gap of shame. Shame for you not knowing better at the time. And speaking from personal experience, the more knowledge you gain, right? When you say you know better, you do better, right? That's the onus typically is had. When now you know better and you choose not to do better, the gap of shame grows larger and larger, right? And I think it's a distinct difference that we need to put in the sand so people don't become more and more confused between that gap. Because you'll go into a vortex, you'll go into a black hole trying to live between that gap of what you know you should have done and what you did do. Because honestly, it's either this or that. Either you're going to do what you know is best or you're not. But that's why I say this world is nuanced. Because there's a lot of gray areas, right? It's a lot of gray areas. Because what may be best for you may not be best for somebody else. So I feel like overall, when I say turn off that constant battle between yourself. That constant egg on to procrastination. Because procrastination is death. If you're not evolving, if you're not growing, if you're not moving forward or onward, you might as well be dead. Go to a graveyard and you'll see what I'm talking about. That is a land of so many prosperous dreams, so many people in that gap between what they want to do, what they know they should do, and they just are snapped out of existence before they get the chance to. Right? I believe in free will. I also believe in fate. How it works interchangeably, I'm still trying to get a grasp between what that means conceptually to me. But it makes sense. Spiritually. Mentally, I'm still working on that. But spiritually, it makes sense about how it's almost like, potential energy. It's just that potential. And how we have a rate of decay. Time is a signifier of the decay, of the rate of decay. The more time that go by, the more decay or potential we'll have. The more time you wait, the less potential energy you have to harness. That's why my motto and my passion is like telling people it's never too late. You're not dead yet. You still have potential energy. You may not have as much when you were fucking 15 or when you were 20. But does that mean you don't have any? No, you have energy. You have potential energy. But potential energy is just that. You have the potential to do something. You have the ability to manifest this such thing. But that doesn't mean you will. Because think about it. When I'm talking, I'm also talking to me, my current version, and my future version of myself too. When I say potential, right, it's also recognizing that if you don't actualize on your potential, it's still going to be there, but it's not going to be in the same way that you thought. I think about it in like time of like maybe like our time isn't linear. I know time isn't linear. As we say, time flies fast when you're having fun. Time revolves around you, right? Depending on what you're doing. If you're at work, time feels slow as shit. Bro, I remember working Chipotle, working 9-hour shifts, bro, and 13-hour shifts sometimes. I was like, oh my god, this is the longest time I've ever felt. But you go to an amusement park. Go to something that really brings you joy. Don't go by like that. Time is relative. Time is not linear. It is relative. A clock is not it is a representation time. I take that back. But a clock itself is not time. It is simply a metaphor for time. It is a representation for time. Right? So when you steady look at the clock and you're like, okay, this is how much time I got left. It's still relative on what you do with that time. How you spend it. Our time is currency. I'm not going to go too deep on this, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you were to talk about the agenda, it's you perceiving material, like, I'm gonna pull out a little dirty penny so you see what I'm talking about. It's people, us, perceiving this is more valuable than this. I'm not talking about a watch, right? I'm talking about the metaphor that this watch stands for, what it represents. The exchange, the decay. And it's very important to make note of that, right? Because oftentimes we aren't aware of it. And my only onus is to make people aware of it. Because with awareness, you can do what you want. But that's why they say ignorance is bliss. If you don't know, then I can't really fault you. Like a child, if they don't know that they shouldn't fucking jump on a stool and it's not safe because it's unstable, they don't know no better. I can't really fault them too heavy. But a grown ass adult, you know what's gonna happen, and you still chose to do it. I don't have as much grace with you, right? That's how it is with yourself. I'm not talking about in a spiritual sense. I'm not talking about in a religious sense, because y'all can believe what y'all want to believe. But I feel like these are universal laws. The law of equivalent exchange, right? The law of energy. Nothing is created or destroyed. It's only transferred or transformed. Something can only be acted on once a force is acted upon it. It's like they tell you the keys, but it's about conceptualizing it into a different frame, right? Because, bro, I took IB honors biology, and now I'm learning more about the health system, learning about how we process foods, aerobic and anaerobic cell regeneration, and all this stuff I was taught in honors biology. I failed most of them tests, I ain't gonna lie, because I ain't study at all. But now I'm like, yo, I want to learn more about this stuff, because it has something to do with my digestive system. But even when I was in school, they were still teaching that BS food pyramid, bro. That shit done changed up. That changed up all throughout the years I was in school, because it's a fucking pyramid scheme. It doesn't really actually teach you the way humans need to digest food, but that's off topic. But anybody that will want to talk more about how a better diet for us, if you know a better diet for us, please reach out. You know what I'm saying? The link is always in the description, no matter when you're seeing this video. I'm learning more, and maybe when you see this video, I've already been an expert in herbology and all this other but that comes from me turning it off, or learning how to turn it off. Because it's not fair to me to say, oh, my ego has been off all the time. No, bro, my ego be on 10 sometimes. When I'm alone, it's easy to be fucking confident. It's easy to be confident. Where real confidence shows is when you're okay with not having it. And that's where your ego gets fucking scared. If you've never talked in a group, if you never networked, let me just say that. You know, networking is you in a group full of people, you gotta talk to people, that is fucking intimidating. Or even an interview, whatever, wanting to see somebody, you want to talk to them. You may not have no confidence there. But real confidence is when you know you don't have to have it. It's like with fear. Motherfuckers be like, oh, you gotta be fearless, you have to have no fear. Like, no, bro, it's okay to have fear. It's an innate human, it's in our biology. But it's not okay to allow fear to stop you from reaching your potential, from reaching what you want. That is not okay. Right? So I feel like a lot of people don't know the nuance. There's a nuance to everything. There's a nuance, right? Meaning that it's not black or white. I don't believe in this whole black or white, good or bad. No, bro, because depending on what side you're on, you think something is good or bad. I subscribe and I know that everything is a spectrum. And emotional wise and color wise, we only see what, maybe a tenth of the spectrum, if that. I think everything is a spectrum, whether it goes to frequencies, electromagnetic, like, come on, everything is a spectrum. Meaning, even if you land on this part of the spectrum, maybe on a different class, you'd be on somewhere else. And it really opens up your horizons, open up your ways to think about things. When you think about things, it's like not black or white, not this or that, but in terms of perspective, right? I had this another analogy on another video of like how I perceive things is like we're all looking through a kaleidoscope, and depending on where we're at, like kind of like with your astrology rule, you may be on a different side of this kaleidoscope. That doesn't mean the lights that are reflecting on your perception on your eyes are wrong. It's what you're truly seeing. It's your truth, right? We only have one pair of eyes, but we have multiple sets of lenses. As such, we have multiple sets of lenses. And I think pertaining to where our axis is on that kaleidoscope and how we perceive information, and also how we interpret that information, right? Because you can perceive, 10 people can perceive and get the same information, but it's about how they internalize it and reflect giving information back to you, right? And it all goes through our grooves, through our minds, through our conceptualization, us trying to make sense of it. It all rolls through that type of lens. And our lens is oftentimes shaped by our experience, our environment, our essence, right? But that doesn't mean that it is immutable. Our lenses are mutable. We can change this, right? You ever been around somebody that's just so pessimistic? They're always complaining. Everything's wrong all the time. Everything's negative. Fuck life. Oh, shit's so sad. I don't want to be here anymore. But I'm not, you know what I'm saying? It's just like everything is negative. That's their perception. That's how the information was given to their concept, to their brain, and they interpret it as everything fucking sucks. And then you have these toxically positive people. I think the best balance is you finding the equilibrium for you. Everybody is not gonna be this fucking, oh, see the silver lining and everything. Look, everything's so fucking awesome. Like, no, bro. Everything cannot be fucking awesome. Because it's not. And I don't want to be around people that think everything is fucking awesome all the time. It's not. Sometimes I want to complain about the shit that I'm going through. But I also don't want to be around people that complain all the time. Like, there's no constructiveness in you. It's just complain. Let me go to work. Let me complain. Let me go to work. Let me complain. It's like, no, where the fuck is the growth at, right? That's why they say constructive criticism, right? When I say peace, inner peace, my peace is a weapon of mass construction. That's what my mission is, to help people find, as I'm finding for myself. What is that equilibrium? What is that peace within myself? Because when you have inner peace, it'll innately radiate to other people. And I'll experience this myself. Obviously, I'm at like a little downturn right now, which is why I'm in the car making a video. But I experienced that. I think beginning of this year, June, I don't know what the fuck was happening astrologically or whatever, but I felt the most open and the most closest to my inner self as I ever have. Like, I go out, people gravitating towards me. It's easy to have a conversation with people. People just recognize that I'm a fucking homely and gregarious fucking head ass person. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and I'm attracting people that are on my vibration. Obviously, I go through cyclicals. This is a cyclical nature. We come to Earth as a cycle, and our purpose is to break that cycle. Everybody does not have this same cycle. It is different. Now, a lot of people have a similar cycle, but it's not the same. So I think it's a very excellent time to conclude my thoughts, my message. Little birdie coming out the window about saying, learning how to understand yourself, your energy. I'm gonna have links below about a present moment check. Now that ended up itself. Let me see if it came up yet. Oh, my temperature needs to cool down. All right. Well, never mind. I was gonna pull up what I had coming up on my phone all the time. But every moment, every hour on the hour, I have a present moment check. Does that mean I always go through the checklist all the time? Like, no. It's just me to remember, how am I feeling right now? Just like an awareness check. I have a freebie in the link below if you want to check out what that means, to do a present moment check. Do you want to add it to your calendar? And then on the further videos, we will talk about more why I think it is very crucial to at least have some type of form of check-in daily. Daily. It is very imperative. We get so caught up. How many of us really remember to intentionally breathe? It's such a background process that we don't even think about it. Like, no, bro, it's okay. And it's good to intentionally breathe daily. Be like, let me take in this 5-second breath and breathe out. That's it. But it's just you bringing it back to your body and recognizing, bro, without your breath, you would not be here. Like, literally, if you stop breathing, you would die. And I'm gonna say this till I'm blue, bro. For us not to take life seriously enough, we sure as shit are scared of death. Which is so crazy to me. It's like, shouldn't you prioritize and care about life more if you're so scared to die or mortality? But the thing is, that's a whole nother video. I ain't gonna get on that. I'm not gonna get on that. Even though I want to. This video is about learning how to control the dial of your ego, right? And how to focus it on what works best for you. I'm a Leo. So apparently they talking about Leo's gotta be big ego. I think it's cap. At least from my personal experience, I had no big ego. Or maybe I worked so hard to tame down my ego, really. I don't know. I think I do have an ego because I think envy in some type of way is egoic. And because I am very self-judgmental, I think that is another form of my ego coming out. But on the opposite side, on the flip side, because a lot of time arrogance is just a compensation for insecurity. Like, both these people are insecure. An arrogant ass motherfucker or a self-judgment ass motherfucker are both insecure. It's about how they interacted and how they interplayed on this real world and outside physical world. Because the arrogant motherfucker is just as insecure as somebody that's a hermit in their room and self-judging and judging of others. You're just as insecure. You just act on it in different type of ways. I feel like I've been more on the hermit, self-judging type of wave, which is why I'm being transparent and open with you as an avoidant overthinker that has isolated themselves and recognizes that it does not have to be this way. I'm not relegated to fucking living alone and nobody's gonna ever understand me. I'm just such a unique person. Like, honestly, there's probably at least 10 versions of me out there. I'm just saying, it's probably at least 10 versions of me out there. And if I have any say of it, I need to put myself out there so they can meet me, so they can interact with me. And that is the point. I think I'm not necessarily a outgoing person, but I am most certainly an inviting person. So take that as you will. I got my email all down below. If you feel gravitated to talk to me, send an email. I promise you, whether it's like, hey, bro, I don't know, I've been going through a lot of stuff, I need to talk, that is completely fine, bro. We all need somebody to talk to. I have clarity calls below if you want to organize it calendly. And from my bottom of my heart, I'm looking at my tree. I'm wishing you and yours a very, 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 very blessed and energetic day. Wishing you the happiest new days. Beyond wishing, I know that you will achieve everything that you were destined to. Nobody tell you before that they were proud of you, I am proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Extremely proud of you. I haven't even met you yet. And maybe I do know you. Maybe I know you from another mother. I don't know. But I'm very proud of you. So this video is about turning it off. When I say turning it off, I'm talking about the ego and how to turn it off, why you should turn it off, and everything of that nature. Alright. It is Jade OCA, the overcover agent for conscious and constructive change. And I'm signing out. Bow! I was gonna do like a cool little outro, but